Good morning, and thank you again for joining us for Coffee with Andy, brought to you by LTC-AB2.info. That's LTC-AB2.info. As you remember from our last conversation, we were talking about retirement, and we want to talk about preparing for retirement for today. Excuse me. As you notice, uh, we've of course gone through a rather unusual election period. And to some, it's still not decided. To others, it was a write off day one. However, we find, and I'm not trying to be political here, I'm just pointing out facts to you. We find that benefits depend on the party most of the time, if not all of the time. Sometimes you'll have an increase of uh, benefits such as Social Security or Medicare, things like that. Sometimes you'll have a decrease in them. Sometimes you'll have income coming in, sometimes you won't have income coming in. Um, Sometimes you'll have the cost of deductibles, co-pays, things like that directly affected when it comes to these kinds of changes. You know, we also have noticed trends in globalization. One party's more for globalization while the other one may not be. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist of any kind here, but just pointing out certain observations. We have the COVID issue. Okay, for example, you know, everybody got, or maybe you didn't, but a lot of people got stimulus packages. Well, who's going to pay for that? It's a big question. Um, you know, there's other issues out on the table, many of them that will directly affect your bottom line. So all I'm here to do is trying to say, hey, you need to be aware of these things so that when it comes time for you to retire, whether it's 20, whether it's uh, whether you're 20, I should say, or whether you're 50 or 65 going into retirement here this year in the next couple of years, these are things to be aware of because, as I said, they directly affect your bottom line. With globalization, in other words, uh, stuff put out by who, not the rock group, mind you, but stuff put out by the World Health Organization, leaning towards more of what's known as Agenda 21. There are certain goals that they're trying to reach for issues like sustainable this or that. You might have noticed in COVID, there was terms like essential workers. Ding, 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 ding. Got to watch out for that stuff. What's that tell you? We're leaning towards more of a socialist type government. Therefore, you need to plan ahead. For example, um, my dad, when he retired, okay, he was on the railroad, made decent money for the time, all right. But when it came to planning for retirement, how would anybody know exactly how much it's going to really escalate? We've seen all kinds of things, or he saw all kinds of things in his lifetime. Maybe the Jets was one of them, airline travel. Well, maybe. He was born in 20, so there's been a lot of changes. And if you're of retirement age, you've seen a lot of changes over the years. But when I was a kid, gasoline was 25 cents a gallon. Okay, I remember my first entrepreneurial experience in which I went out. I was supposed to cut my neighbor's grass. She gave me the mower, this one particular neighbor, and then paid me $3 every time I cut her grass, and so did another neighbor at one point. But after cutting her grass a couple of times, all of a sudden my 1 gallon gas tank was empty. There was no gas in my lawnmower tank. Where do I get the gas from? Well, I had to run down to the gas station with my dad, go get a gallon's worth of gas at that time, like I said, 25 cents. Now my bottom line was $2.75. That really cut into my first entrepreneurial experience and bottom line. But good grief, I'm not making the full amount that I wanted to make. I thought I get, I asked for $3. I should have $3 on my bottom line, not accounting for things like the gasoline or oil or other repairs that might have needed to be done to the machine over time. Same way as with your retirement. And like when my dad was planning, as we see today, the cost of gasoline is uh, right at $2. It has been up as high as $4 in some states, maybe yours. So these are things that have to be accounted for, and that's what I mean when I say the cost of inflation and everything. Sometimes new regulations, such as on your car or for um, solar energy and other energy forms. People want a particular type of energy to reduce the smog. Not saying it's bad, not saying it's good. I'm just saying there's expenses to be considered. And if you don't consider all your expenses and you don't know your income, then you could be in for a big surprise. So while we're talking about expenses, uh, another aspect is the income, as I said. With the income, let's start by going to um, Social Security. Let's take a look real quick and find out what your Social Security looks like. So we're going to move on over here to our other screen and look at the Social Security website. That's ssa.gov. Now you go there, all you have to do is um, click on the retirement estimator, and as soon as the page turns, select estimate your retirement benefits. And as soon as the thing captures, my session has expired. Well, what do you know? Let's see. Try that again. This is about right. Okay. Online services. So let's go back to home because I didn't click on online services. Then we want to click on this estimator and go back. And there it should ask you for basic information, name, rank, and serial number. There we go. Your estimated income and everything. Once you click submit, it tells you how much you're going to make. Now, why do I bring that up? Well, bottom line is when you do figure your income, uh, you've got to know when you're going to retire. Knowing or wanting to retire and knowing when you could afford to retire are two different things. For example, once you do that, you'll see that uh, 62, and I took 35,000 as a ballpark figure. That's probably low for a lot of people, but and maybe average for most. But at 35,000, you select uh, 62 to retire. Your income from Social Security is going to be around the $1,200 range, $1,300. If you wait till the retirement age, 66, 67, you're looking at about 17, what was it, 1,500 or so. And then by the time if you work to age 74, you get 130% of that. And you're usually looking at about 17, 1,800 a month in estimated income. But that's another issue. Is Social Security going to be around? Okay, some say that by 2025, 2030, Social Security won't be around, or there talks about privatizing Social Security. Okay, well, Social Security, when it was originally created, was built on the premise that people weren't saving for retirement, so this would give them some sort of vehicle, your retirement money, by the way, that you would have available to you when you retired. Now, everybody and his brother is able to get Social Security, whether you're here or not. Not for me to say, as far as whether that's right or wrong. However, more people are getting Social Security than are necessarily putting into it. So the speculations are it could be gone by 2025, 2030. Then there's the matter of your pension and 401k plan. Well, if you pay any attention to the news, you know there's issues with 401ks. All right. Then there's also issues with pensions. Some people have found out rather abruptly and surprisingly that their pensions monies aren't there. What do I mean? Well, if you put your money in the bank, it's guaranteed by the, what is it, FLIC? Anyway, whatever group that was, you all know what I mean. It's guaranteed to be there. But what happens if the insurer goes bankrupt? Well, there's other agencies that insure everything, and this is all bought and blah, blah, blah. I understand part of that. Okay, but realistically, you can search Google and find out that the pension plan insurance company, uh, SPPC, I'm not sure what it was. I should have been better prepared. But airline pilots, government employees, or at least state employees are finding a lot of times when they're ready to retire, either the money's not there or it's significantly reduced. Then what do you do? If you don't have, if you're just totally dependent on Social Security, you may not have the income that you're wanting to have or thinking you're going to have to do the trips, things that you want to do. And now you're left holding the bag. What do you do? My suggestion, no matter what your age, would be to lean towards more of a balanced portfolio. What do I mean by that? Have your investments in different things. Stocks today, and they're up one time, down another. The market is very volatile. With the elections and everything, we've seen it soar, we've seen it drop drastically. Will it be there? We've seen businesses come and go, some big name companies. You may have had stock in some of them. Will they be there, you know, in 5 years? What about next year? Or 10 years or 25? These are things to consider if you're setting up your portfolio or if you have one now, how to adjust it. Because bottom line, it's your money, and we've already talked a little bit about it, expenses, but next time or as we go along, I can't promise them absolutely next time, but as we go along, we're going to talk about more and more of how your bottom line is affected by your cost of living, whether that's the inflation, whether that's the need for medical care, whether that's the reduction in benefits. It's going to be up to you. Do you have a backup plan? What do I mean by a backup plan? Well, I know a lot of people that after they retired, their money didn't go as far as they thought it would. Let's say they had more a month than they had money at the end of paying their bills. So they've got to pick up some extra. Well, Walmart, for example, has a lot of retired individuals working as greeters or various other positions. Guess what? There's about 78 million people that fit in the baby boomer section, and another that's right behind it in the millennial section. So as people age out, all right, is everybody going to go to work for Walmart? 78 million people can't all work at Walmart or some of these other various jobs. I've got a friend who works for CarQuest. He's a driver. Again, people needing a little extra income. But with 78 million people and the younger generation also getting jobs in place first in a lot of cases, you haven't gotten there. If you're not past 40, you'll find out about age discrimination. Even so subtle, it's still out there. You may be passed over because you have either A, you want higher money right now, or B, somebody else will take less money because they don't have the experience. And if you're the employer, who would you go with? Well, of course, they're going to go with somebody that wouldn't require as much output as you would. You've had the experience. You expect to be paid for your knowledge and experience, but they're willing to sacrifice the outcome because of the individual. I mean, rather than pay the individual. So these are all things to consider. And again, if you're not prepared, this is what we're here to talk about so that I can help you get prepared instead of being caught by whatever verbiage you want to use there and by surprise. So, again, thank you for coming today. Look forward to sitting down with you and reviewing more topics and other issues of retirement. Again, this is brought to you by LTC-AV2.info. If you wish to reach out to contact us, you can do so at LTC-AV2.info slash or forward slash technically contact us or contact period. And then you can leave me a note, or you can leave me a note or a message either on Facebook as LTC minus AB2, or message me through Facebook. And then you should have plenty of contact sources out there for phone numbers too if you need to. But I just want to go over this to make sure you're prepared, and I'll be glad to help you answer any questions or help you fill the needs that you may see to be prepared for your future. Again, thank you and have a good rest of your day and stay well. In that order, too.